In the chaotic twilight of the Roman Republic, when ambition devoured tradition and the Senate teetered on the brink of collapse, one man rose above all others, Gaius Julius Caesar. A soldier, statesman, orator, and visionary, he reshaped the Roman world through intellect and willpower. To his enemies, he was a tyrant who destroyed liberty. To his soldiers, he was a god of war. And to history, he became the architect of empire. His life was not merely a march toward power. It was the story of a man who defied fate, remade Rome, and left behind a name that would become synonymous with rule itself: Caesar. Welcome to Chronicles and Conquerors, where history's greatest empires, leaders, and battles come to life. From the rise of ancient civilizations to the legends of conquerors who shaped our world, every story here is crafted to inspire, educate, and ignite your curiosity. Subscribe and step into the past to uncover the power, glory, and lessons of history's greatest figures. Gaius Julius Caesar was born on July 12, 100 BCE, into the patrician Julian clan, a family that claimed divine descent from Venus through the Trojan hero Aeneas. Though noble in blood, his family was not among Rome's richest or most politically dominant. His father, also named Gaius Julius Caesar, governed a province in Asia, while his mother, Aurelia Cotta, was celebrated for her strength and intelligence. When Lucius Cornelius Sulla seized power as dictator in 82 BCE, Caesar's marriage to Cornelia, daughter of Sulla's rival Cinna, made him a political target. Ordered to divorce her, he refused, a defiance that nearly cost him his life. He fled Rome until Sulla relented, allegedly warning that in Caesar there are many Mariuses. After Sulla's death, Caesar served with distinction in Asia Minor, earning the civic crown for bravery. Upon returning to Rome, he studied law and rhetoric, emerging as a rising voice among the populares, the faction advocating for the people against senatorial elites. Returning from military service, Caesar climbed the cursus honorum, the ladder of public offices. As quaestor, aedile, and pontifex maximus, he gained public admiration through charisma and spectacle. His lavish games and public projects, though plunging him deep into debt, earned him the favor of the Roman masses. According to Suetonius in the 12 Caesars, Caesar's political ambition was boundless. From his earliest youth, he had the unquenchable desire for preeminence. Suetonius noted that Caesar's ability to combine charm, generosity, and calculated risk made him both admired and feared by his contemporaries. By his early 40s, Caesar had built a foundation of power not through wealth, but through loyalty and persuasion, a politician who mastered the art of winning hearts before winning offices. In 60 BCE, Caesar formed a secret political alliance with Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, Pompey the Great, and Marcus Licinius Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome. This informal coalition, known as the First Triumvirate, was designed to bypass senatorial resistance. Pompey sought land grants for his veterans, Crassus sought financial reform favorable to his business interests, and Caesar sought power and military command. The triumvirate dominated Roman politics. Caesar's election as consul in 59 BCE gave him the opportunity to pass laws that satisfied both allies, solidifying their partnership. When his term ended, he was appointed governor of Cisalpine and Transalpine Gaul for 5 years, an appointment that would change history. For nearly a decade, Caesar led the legions of Rome through the vast territories of Gaul, waging campaigns that expanded the Republic's borders from the Alps to the English Channel. His campaigns were chronicled in his own words through the Commentaries on the Gallic War, a blend of military report and self-promotion. His most celebrated victory came in 52 BCE at the Battle of Alesia, where Caesar besieged and defeated the Gallic chieftain Vercingetorix. Outnumbered, he constructed dual lines of fortifications to repel both the besieged and their relief armies, one of history's most remarkable tactical achievements. By 50 BCE, all of Gaul was under Roman control, and Caesar had forged a seasoned army utterly devoted to him. His fame rivaled that of Pompey, once his ally and now his greatest rival. The First Triumvirate unraveled through loss and ambition. In 54 BCE, Caesar's daughter Julia, who was married to Pompey, died in childbirth, breaking the personal bond between the two men. A year later, Crassus was killed in the disastrous Parthian campaign at Carrhae, leaving Caesar and Pompey alone in a duel for supremacy. Without Crassus's wealth or Julia's family tie, Pompey aligned with the Optimates, the conservative senatorial faction. In 52 BCE, after riots erupted in Rome, Pompey was made sole consul, effectively granting him dictatorial authority. The Senate, now under Pompey's influence, demanded that Caesar disband his army and return to Rome. Caesar refused, knowing that to do so would mean political exile or death. On January 10, 49 BCE, Caesar made his fateful choice. Leading his 13th legion, he crossed the Rubicon River declaring, "Alea iacta est," the die is cast. It was an act of rebellion against the Senate and a declaration of war on Pompey. Caesar advanced swiftly into Italy, seizing Rome with minimal resistance, while Pompey and his allies fled to Greece to raise a counter-army. In a matter of weeks, the Republic had split in two, one half loyal to Pompey and the Senate, the other to Caesar and his legions. Before facing Pompey, Caesar turned westward, defeating Pompeian forces at Ilerda in Spain. With his western provinces secure, he returned to Rome, declared himself dictator briefly to stabilize governance, and then pursued Pompey across the Adriatic. In early 48 BCE, Caesar crossed into Greece to confront Pompey, who had fortified his base at Dyrrhachium on the Adriatic coast. Pompey's forces outnumbered Caesar's and held the advantage in supplies and naval control. Attempting to starve Pompey out, Caesar built an extensive line of fortifications to encircle him. Pompey countered with his own defenses and, in a daring assault, broke through Caesar's siege lines. Caesar's army suffered heavy losses, and for the first time in the war, he was forced into retreat. It was a severe blow, but not a fatal one. Pompey, cautious after his victory, failed to pursue, allowing Caesar to regroup in Thessaly. Caesar later reflected that Pompey knew how to win a battle, but not how to use one. At Pharsalus, Caesar met Pompey in open battle. Pompey commanded nearly 45,000 troops to Caesar's 22,000. Confident that his cavalry would crush Caesar's right flank. Anticipating this, Caesar placed a hidden reserve of infantry behind his front line. When Pompey's cavalry charged, Caesar's reserve counterattacked, routing them and collapsing Pompey's lines. Pompey fled to Egypt, where he was betrayed and murdered by order of Ptolemy XIII. Caesar, upon seeing Pompey's severed head, wept a gesture of both sorrow and respect for his former ally and son-in-law. In Egypt, Caesar became embroiled in the dynastic struggle between Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII. Supporting Cleopatra, he fought the Alexandrian War, emerging victorious after fierce urban combat. According to Plutarch's Life of Caesar, Caesar was captivated by Cleopatra's intelligence, charm, and political acumen. Their alliance was as strategic as it was romantic. Each saw in the other a means to secure their respective power. Their union produced a son, Ptolemy XV Caesarion, and for several months Caesar remained in Egypt, consolidating his position and restoring stability before returning to Rome. After Egypt, Caesar moved eastward, defeating Pharnaces of Pontus in a swift campaign and famously declaring, "Veni, vidi, vici," I came, I saw, I conquered. Pompey's remaining supporters regrouped in North Africa under Metellus Scipio, Cato the Younger, and King Juba Thrawyne of Numidia. In 46 BCE, Caesar landed in Africa with limited forces but unparalleled confidence. At Thapsus, on April 6th, his disciplined legions overwhelmed the enemy despite being outnumbered. Scipio fled and later took his own life after capture. Cato, refusing to submit, committed suicide at Utica, an act that immortalized him as a symbol of Stoic resistance. The Battle of Thapsus eliminated the last major Pompeian stronghold in Africa and cemented Caesar's mastery of the Roman world. In Spain, Pompey's sons, Gnaeus and Sextus, rallied new legions for one final stand. At Munda, Caesar faced one of his bloodiest battles. The fighting was fierce, and Caesar himself seized a shield and charged into the fray to rally his men. Eventually, his veterans broke the enemy lines, killing Gnaeus and scattering the remnants of Pompey's forces. It was Caesar's last great battle and his ultimate victory. Returning to Rome, Caesar was declared dictator, perpetuo dictator for life. He embarked on a series of ambitious reforms, established the Julian calendar, aligning time itself with his name, reorganized provincial administration, expanded citizenship across the Republic, reduced debts, and reformed the Senate structure to strengthen central authority. But his rise alarmed many. To his opponents, he was no longer a savior of Rome, but a monarch in disguise. On March 15, 44 BCE, the Ides of March, a group of conspirators led by Brutus and Cassius assassinated him in the Senate. Struck 23 times, Caesar fell beneath the statue of Pompey, the man he once rivaled and mourned. Julius Caesar's assassination ended the Roman Republic, but his vision endured. His adopted heir, Octavian, Augustus, avenged him and became the first emperor of Rome, transforming Caesar's name into a title of imperial power. Caesar's legacy was immense, a general of unmatched genius, a reformer of unyielding will, and a statesman who reshaped the Roman world. Through his life and death, the Republic gave way to empire, and his name Caesar became immortal, echoing through the ages as Kaiser and Tsar. He was not merely a conqueror of nations, but of history itself. Thank you for watching Chronicles and Conquerors. If you enjoyed this journey into the life and legacy of Julius Caesar, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story of history's greatest empires, rulers, and battles. Join us again as we bring the past to life, one legend at a time.